Hi America, I'm Cracked Senior Editor Josh Sargent. You might know me from such popular internet listicles as 5 old-timey prejudices that still show up in every movie, and 6 insane stereotypes that movies can't seem to get over. I'm here today to talk to you about that exact same thing, because I just can't get over the fact that movies are dicks, and I've been out of ideas for a while now. A prostitute's natural state of being is death. There's a storytelling trope called Chekhov's gun that states if you have a gun in the first act of your story, it has to go off by the end. There's a similar, less well-known rule about prostitutes, which is that if you put one in your movie, eventually you're gonna have to kill them. Or at least try to. They're wily people. And I'm not just talking about the Canadian horror film Dead Hooker in a Trunk, because why would I be? In the noir anthology Sin City, a dead prostitute is what sends Marv on his murder spree. Dead prostitutes are what Kevin eats because he knows no one will miss them. And the big fat kill, the central drama of the story, is whether every prostitute in Old Town is going to get murdered. In Heat, when we needed to see that one of the bad guys was an extra bad guy, we just showed him killing a prostitute who only shows up in that scene to be murdered. In Godfather Part 2, the good guys set up a congressman by pretending he killed a prostitute, only to make it convincing they really kill a prostitute. Then there's Dead Man, Dark City, Very Bad Things, Natural Born Killers, and I'm just talking about the movies who bring it up seriously. I haven't even gotten to the movies that act like it's a big joke.
All right, you killed a hooker. Get your hands on some bleach, some hydrogen peroxide, and a shitload of lime.
We've got a 10:07 on our hands.
No bullshit, because I wasn't with a hooker today.
I've never seen so many dead hookers in all my life.
You killed a hooker!
Call girl.
No,
She was a
Cyril,
cold...
when they're dead, they're just hookers.
Why is it funnier to kill a hooker than a grocery store cashier, or a professional tightrope walker, or a trucker, or a caricature artist, or even a stripper? It's weird that it's so funny in movies, but then you look at real life where prostitutes are murdered at a rate 7 to 50 times higher than the national average, which makes their job more dangerous than either crab fishing or ice road trucking, and it makes you realize hookers need a reality show. Right? You guys wanna talk about the homeless for a second? What am I asking? Of course you do. Homelessness is f***ing hilarious.
Wow.
You gonna text the bathroom?
No, I'm not gonna text back.
You can do it!
To be fair, I'm not just talking about movies that make jokes about homelessness. Sometimes we get movies like The Woman in the Van, which nobody saw, and The Soloist, which nobody saw, that have realistic and exhausting depictions of the trials and hardships of, this is boring, Gustav, show that you can do it guy again.
You can do it all night long!
F***ing Sandler, man. Actually, the weird part is even when we make a homeless guy a real sympathetic character, we still forget that they're not street goblins. In Big Daddy, there's a scene where the homeless guy explains his backstory and how he ended up homeless.
This was during the so-called disco era, but for me it was more the doing mushrooms era.
But we're still cool with seeing him crash face first into a lamppost in exchange for a single sausage McMuffin.
There's a pole there.
Though, to be fair, McDonald's breakfast wasn't available 24 hours a day back then. In Home Alone 2, Macaulay Culkin gets his life saved by a homeless woman with the magical power to command birds and pays her back with a small plastic turtle dove. His absurdly wealthy parents are in town at this point, by the way. She could have used a shower, some new clothes, some psychiatric care for the severe mental issues she discussed with him earlier. But sure, a toy bird, that'll keep her from freezing to death. It won't. She died right after that scene. And that's the point. Homeless people aren't people. They're things that we can learn from and then safely ignore.
What's that lump?
That's a homeless person.
You just walked right past him. You didn't even look.
Well, I mean, some things you choose not to see.
The weirdest example is in Minority Report. Tom Cruise and his precog buddy are running from the cops and she keeps giving him tips by looking into the future. Hide here, there's gonna be balloons, she says, and bam, there are balloons. Then, when they're running through an alley, she tells him to throw some change on the ground, which brings the apparently disabled homeless guy to crawl around and trying to pick him up. Then the cops burst through the door and trip on him. I gotta ask, how much time did this stunt really buy them? Those cops chase people for a living. I bet they're pretty good at standing up after they fall down. Meanwhile, the elderly homeless guy just had 3 fully armored linebackers crash knee first into his pancreas. Families are made of replaceable parts. Not to get all weird on you, but family's important. Special. Here's a picture of my younger brother, whom I love dearly. Just kidding, that's a stock photo. I would never show a member of my family to you depraved perverts, because if anything ever happened to them, I would be heartbroken, and though I'd eventually heal and move on, nothing would ever fill the void left by their absence. But in movies, it's f***ing whatever. In Face Off, John Travolta's son dies at the beginning when Nicolas Cage shoots them both but only kills the kid. Then they switch faces and pretend to be each other. This movie is exhausting to explain. Good Nicolas Cage kills bad John Travolta and steals his face back, becoming good John Travolta. But when he takes back his face, he also takes his kid, as interest, I guess, for having borrowed his face. Then good John Travolta gets a happy ending because even though his kid died, he steals a new kid from the dead enemy and raises him as his own? I guess. Then there's Collateral Damage, which starts with Arnold Schwarzenegger's family being killed by a terrorist and ends with him killing that terrorist and stealing his family, because family members are just the fat loot the boss drops. In the extended version of Aliens, which as we all know isn't as good as the theatrical cut, but it's longer, so it's the one we always watch because you never have too much aliens, Ripley learns that her daughter has died while she was in cryosleep. But it's okay because later she gets a new daughter, which is Newt, and they get straight to mother-daughter bonding. Then Ripley gets a new proto-husband with Hicks and a robot butler slash milkshake machine in the form of Bishop. The whole family package. Listen, Hollywood. People aren't spark plugs. If one breaks, you can't just pop one out and throw in a new one that's roughly the same shape and expect things to work fine. That's explicitly the message of Fast and Furious 6.
You're loyal to a fault. Your code is about family.
If you want your dead family members back, you're gonna have to clone them or something. Prison rape is A-okay. Wow, I just realized how dark this whole video is. Sorry about that. I hope you're enjoying your lunch break. Thanks for sticking with me through this. You're a fucking champ. Movies assume that not only is prison rape common, it's part of the punishment.
More like taking a shower with two guys named Jamal and Jesus, if you know what I mean.
You know what they do to women in there?
Yum.
The sex you want, you ain't getting. The sex you're getting, you don't want.
Well, you never hear of anyone being raped with a plunger in rehab.
I used to guys like you in prison.
You know what happens to a handsome guy like me in jail? It rhymes with grape.
You're so clearly forcing Eric into this relationship.
All right, let's go. Not you, Tubby.
You sure you don't want him to?
And I'm gonna make sure you get locked up for this. And then we'll see how you like getting raped.
We act like rape is the part of prison that makes prison bad, which is just more evidence that most people have no idea what being in prison is actually like. The reality is that prison rape totally does happen, a lot. But that reality is bad? We shouldn't rape people? Is that controversial? Okay, let me dial this back. We shouldn't make jokes about raping people in baby cartoons?
It's treasure! Look, doubloons! Don't drop them.
Yeah, don't drop the soap in the prison shower or you'll be violated anally. I, SpongeBob SquarePants, am saying to you, Gary the Snail. I can't even blame that on kids these days because I'm young enough to have watched SpongeBob SquarePants. But what's really weird is that of all the movies I've talked about today, Dirty Work is the only one to explicitly point out that prison rape is a bad thing.
Can you believe these characters? Way out of line, way out of line. Have a good mind to go to the warden about this.
And it's the only movie to portray homelessness as a tragedy that befalls the undeserving.
I think what you probably need are like some psycho, out of control homeless guys.
Yeah, we're more the broken, spiritless, I've lost the will to live type homeless guys.
They even show prostitutes in a moderately positive light. I mean, it's positive as anything else in the movie.
You didn't count on my loyal army of prostitutes, did you?
Is Dirty Work the most progressive film ever? No. No, that's stupid. You know, it seems like we have a lot of fun and games here at Cracked.com, but the reality is that we all work really hard to make these videos happen. I, for example, had to watch Home Alone 2. Please like and subscribe.